basically understand as a university, your traditional role was the teaching part. Now, you still do teaching, but there are those who've taught themselves, who have gained it wherever. But they have not got the credentials to prove to the world that they have the skill. You hold those keys. And so they just want to come to you and say, can you check me out, see if I've got what it takes, that I can move on. I don't want your classes, I'm just ready to prove to the world. Can you work with me? And Western governors said yes. And Flex, yes. That kind of a thing.
I like that.
Goes there. Now, that mindset of diversifying your mission, because of the changing world where some can come and they just need that stamp of approval basically from you, and it's still an important piece. How can UNISA in the future do better in that area? Have they thought about that thing? Because it seems like you have this model where everybody still has to take all the courses, you know, go in at A and come out at Z, and you've gone all the way through, and now we smile, we put the cap on your head, slap you on the bum and chase you into the world, you're now productive, and you're good. Yet those who have skills, what do we do with that? Can we say, okay, you can skip all this, you've got those skills, we are dynamic in working with you with where you really are. Instead of just saying, listen, start with A. I don't know who and what you are, it's not our business, start with A and go through the whole pipe, and when you come out there, then you're good. What about that?
I think we did raise the issue. I don't know whether you were in the room. We still obsessed with time spent,
Time and seat.
the time and credit hours. Okay?
Yeah.
So I would love us to have, if you think you have we've published what you will have after Accounting 101. It's on the web. This is what the competencies are, however you want to describe it. So if you think you're ready to take the exam, you're welcome to do that at registration. And when you pass the exam, you don't have to.
BYU does that. You can challenge any class. They call it the challenge class.
Exam. So I love that. And when UNISA merged with Vista University, they had a very interesting session, which also goes the other way, that you registered and you got your materials, but you were not bound to an exam date. So when you were ready, you could buy an examination ticket, an opportunity to be examined.
But this to me is so interesting, because this comes into the credentialing certification issue, which is maybe also one of the value contributions.
And that's what Barnett says. We will validate not only other knowledge claim, but your knowledge claim.
Yeah.
And that's our role. But it cuts both ways. So we must allow you space when you really tell us.
Yeah.
Now, in the South African higher education, when you've registered, your registration counts for an academic year. You cannot write the exam. You cannot buy your examination ticket if that was the case for whenever you want, whenever you're ready. You are bound by 14 weeks or by a year course.
There's a window.
There's a window. So I think the accreditation or the validation of a knowledge claim, whether it's by whoever, I really like that. That I can say I think I have this, and give me a challenge exam, and if I don't qualify, then I'm willing to take the course.
The one thing that if I can kind of say this, but my vision is that we're going to have in the educational arena the same kind of bimodal situation or binary situation where you have ultra luxury items, Versace and Louis Vuitton, and then you have the Walmart, the really, really cheap, low margin. And in between there is not that much offering, and I think we're going to still have the Ivy League, Oxbridge, and then we're going to have the Walmart of education on the other end. And what distinguishes that? So what happens at Harvard, Ivy League? They get social capital. They're building relationships.
They already had social capital to enter there.
And now they expand it. So it's again that thing of you're ahead and you're just getting further ahead.
Yes.
And here, this is about getting a credential. What about the social capital, the network that you build up to propel yourself forward? Because for me, I have that in South Africa. I came here. I don't have that same kind of network here, which constrains my options.
And there's no way Harvard or the Ivy League will go challenge exams.
Well,
That's
I'm
an
not going to touch
interesting-
them. I'm not going to touch them. But I want to add a last one that I've not shared before that's been mulling in my mind that I haven't seen anybody do yet. So this is a new idea. So don't steal it from me.
You're on there's your copyright.
There's your
And that is what I call degree accountability.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, I'm going to start with the idea of an advisory board. And I'm going to make it life simple initially, and then we'll expand to the hairy areas. Let's take architecture. Okay? When you study architecture, the idea is to become an architect. You don't just study architecture because I like the shape of bricks. And it's kind of just cute.
You just happen to like it, but there's more.
But everybody acknowledges you study architecture to become an architect. Now you can choose not to, but that's really the focus of the school. So what I would want is for professionals to have an advisory board of professionals, of architects, that evaluate your program.
But the old technical college, the old TSA in South Africa had that. You didn't, and there's, you will get to the hairy issues.
And yeah, but I feel often this is a problem everywhere in the world, is you have a degree, you get your degree, you're all proud of yourself, but you're not really prepared to step into the job market. And that often you hear this kind of phrase, forget everything they taught you, we will have to now train you all over here at Arthur Anderson or wherever of how the world really works.
The other side of that is that now Arthur and Anderson, whoever they are, bless their soul, they actually get the power to dictate the curriculum.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that one group would.
No, but even a body like the Chartered Accountants body in South Africa, we cannot include anything critical of capitalism in the Chartered Accountant curriculum.
Maybe that's part of the hairy stuff I was not even thinking about.
Yeah, so the Engineer Council, so it works for these professional bodies, the engineers and nurses.
There's a way around that I can see as a cheap shot at it. And that is, you can tell us what we have to have in there, but you cannot tell us what to exclude.
Okay, but you stand the danger that if they don't accredit you, if they don't value, no one will touch your degrees. You will go down.
But this is maybe where the professional, like the MLIs we teach, need to have a separate, because it's not really education in the classic liberal education sense.
That's the liberal education is the hairy part of it. But I feel where sometimes universities have such freedom, and it may sound like I'm negative on this now, but not necessarily. I find that sometimes you have programs that start up that seems like just some interesting creative idea of a few professors that think, wouldn't this be cool if we create a studies or a concentration in some novel idea, and yet they create this, and it's very experimental, and those who finish it got basically sucked into it because they really like that professor, such a fun person, and so forth. But then you paid a lot, and where does this go and lead you in life? And I feel it's kind of that full disclosure is necessary.
But it's also on a number of levels. I think what happened in UNISA, that's why we saw a proliferation in the number of courses. We had Professor Jacques, who loved ABCD. He developed modules in that. It was accredited by the institution. And then Professor Shana loved that, and everything was included in the curriculum of information science.
That's too much.
And then Professor Jacques left.
Yeah, so it's a one-man show.
And then, what now? what
Yeah.
now? It's so specific, and then I think the other issue is it didn't relate. There was no clear way or route to how it contributes to the graduate outcomes at the end of this program.
Yeah.
So I think you are right with the. What is a possibility that Coursera, I think it's Coursera or edX, I think it's Coursera that actually the best 10% of their students are actually, if they have a job. When you have 80% of them or more, they have an agreement with Microsoft or Google, and you step into the world of work immediately. Is there a way that in a degree program we can get the input of Microsoft and say, well, what is it that you're looking for, if they in our playing field as one of the providers, to say on third year level, we will provide the building blocks, blah, 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 blah. But students that want to go and work for Microsoft or Google or Homeland Security for that matter, on third level, these are your modules. Then you opt out and you almost, if you get 80%, you walk into a job. Because that module has been approved, it provides you, it opens the doors.
That's kind of what Kellogg University
Yeah,
was.
absolutely.
How they originated.
So I think then you don't end up with a degree and then go knocking on doors.
Yeah.
But,
But I want to
something
add
about
one
that.
component that I hope we can backwash to people in the field, because you often find, for example, when they in America, your medical degree is a postgraduate degree. It's not undergraduate degree, and often they go look for people in the humanities and so forth, and hire people far afield from. Oh, I got all my biology and science and math down. I'm ready to cut you open. You know, they look for a different type of person with great success.
Okay, but there's these two competing narratives. On the one hand, you have the commercialization of the curriculum, where we want to cut out the humanities and the liberal stuff and the philosophy.
Just focus on skills.
Focus on skills.